Have you ever felt a profound sense of exhaustion around certain people? A feeling that drains your very soul, even when no harsh words are spoken? You find yourself questioning your own sanity, wondering if you're too sensitive or too much, because your spirit recoils in their presence. If this resonates deep within your being, know that you are not alone, and you are not broken. You are simply awake in a world that often prefers you to sleep. This is a sign of your awakening. Type, "I am awake" in the comments if you feel this truth in your bones, and let's create a wave of validation for every soul who has ever felt this way. Subscribe and join our tribe of seekers, because today we are going to unravel the sacred mystery behind this silent suffering. This deep, unsettling feeling you carry is not a flaw in your design. It is a sacred wound, an ancient echo of a moment you have long since forgotten. It is the echo of the first time you betrayed your own soul. Remember the profound words of the great spiritual cartographer Carl Jung. The people didn't hurt you, your silence did. The moment you betrayed yourself to be accepted, the wound began. This wasn't a single event, but a cascade of tiny surrenders, a series of moments where the primal need for belonging overshadowed the divine imperative to be authentic. You learned perhaps in the quiet, charged atmosphere of your childhood home, or in the unforgiving landscape of a school playground, that to be loved meant to be smaller, to be quieter, to be more agreeable. You were taught to sever pieces of your magnificent wild soul and offer them as peace offerings to those who could not handle your light. Each time you swallowed your truth, each time you smiled through the sting of a backhanded compliment, each time you put another's comfort before your own spiritual integrity, you were reinforcing the wound. You were teaching your nervous system that the price of admission into the tribe was the abandonment of your truest self. So now you walk through the world carrying a silence that is not your own. It's a heavy cloak woven from the unspoken words, the suppressed emotions, and the unhonored needs of a lifetime. You find yourself in the company of people who, without ever raising their voice or laying a hand on you, manage to make you feel fundamentally wrong. They are masters of the unseen battlefield, waging a subtle war on your spirit, with the weapons of dismissal, omission, and a chilling emotional withdrawal. You can feel their judgment in the air, a psychic pressure that makes you question your every thought and feeling. You might share a piece of your heart, a vulnerable dream, only to have it met with a blank stare or a swift change of subject. This is not a simple misunderstanding. It is a form of spiritual warfare, a quiet, insidious erosion of your being. You leave these encounters feeling invisible, drained, and carrying a profound sense of shame, a nagging thought that whispers, "Maybe it's me, maybe I am the problem." Your shoulders tighten, your jaw clenches, and you retreat into yourself, carrying the weight of a conflict that was never yours to begin with. You have become an energetic host for their unhealed shadow. But you must understand this divine truth. Carl Jung, long before the language of modern psychology caught up, saw this pattern with perfect clarity. He understood that when a person has not faced the darkness within their own soul, their own shadow, they are destined to project it onto others. They cannot bear to look at their own unhealed wounds, their own insecurities, their own suppressed power, so they unconsciously seek to extinguish the light in those around them. They will hurt you, not with brute force, but with a skillful, quiet precision that leaves you questioning your own reality. They will make you feel like you are too much, because in truth, your vibrant existence is a mirror, reflecting back to them everything they are too afraid to be. And the most dangerous part of this universal law is that if you do not recognize your own patterns, your own unhealed trauma responses, you will continue to welcome this energy into your life over and over again. You will mistake this painful cycle for destiny, believing you are simply unlucky in love, or fundamentally unlovable, or cursed to be too emotional for this world. So let me ask you this, and feel the question reverberate through your soul. What if every single person who has ever hurt you was not a judge of your worth, but a divine reflection of what you have been taught to tolerate? What if each heartbreak was a sacred alarm bell, designed to awaken you from the slumber of self-abandonment? This is the journey of shadow work, the courageous path of turning inward to face the parts of yourself you have been taught to fear. Because your shadow, that magnificent, untamed wilderness within, is not evil. It is not something to be vanquished. It is the source of your deepest, most profound power. It is the raw, unexpressed energy of your sovereign self. That anger you keep suppressed, that is not a flaw, it is sacred protection. It is the roar of your soul's guardian, the fire in your gut that ignites when someone disrespects your temple. It is a divine messenger, screaming that a boundary has been violated. Your shadow is not trying to destroy you, it is desperately trying to defend you, to guide you back to wholeness. To reclaim this power, you must first understand the sacred laws of energy that govern our reality. The first truth is this: if you do not define your own value, others will ruthlessly discount it. Every time you stay silent when you should speak, every time you discount your own needs to avoid conflict, every time you place someone else's comfort above your own divine truth, you are creating a world where your value is negotiable. You are sending a powerful signal to the universe that you are open for exploitation. You are handing the keys to your kingdom to those who have no intention of honoring its sanctity. Imagine a king who constantly gives away pieces of his crown to appease his court. Soon he is a king no more. You must become the unwavering guardian of your own worth. Now let's explore the second truth, a crucial key to your liberation. The people who benefit from your silence will always call your truth selfish. The very moment you begin to reclaim your voice, to name your needs, to honor your boundaries, the backlash will begin. It is a universal law. They will say you've changed, that you're difficult, that you're not the same person they once knew. And you must understand, it is not your truth they hate. It is their loss of control over you. For years they have fed on your compliance. They have built their fragile sense of self on the foundation of your silence. Your awakening is a seismic event that shatters their comfortable reality. Their accusations are not a reflection of your character. They are a confession of their dependency on your disempowerment. This leads us to the third divine truth. The shadow is not evil. It is simply unexpressed power. The anger, the grief, the righteous indignation you have been taught to see as negative are in fact sacred messengers. They are the voice of your soul's untamed wilderness, crying out for attention. That fire in your gut when someone disrespects you is not a flaw. It is your sacred protection, your internal alarm system, signaling that a boundary has been crossed. Your shadow self is not an enemy to be defeated, but a powerful ally to be integrated. It holds the key to your passion, your creativity, and your unshakable strength. It is not trying to destroy you. It is trying to defend you, to guide you back to the magnificent wholeness that is your birthright. Let us now illuminate the fourth profound truth. People do not hear what you say. They respond to what you tolerate. You can say, "Don't talk to me like that," 1,000 times. But if you stay when they do it again, your energy rewrites your word. Your continued presence is a silent, energetic endorsement of their behavior. It screams louder than any sentence you could ever utter. You must understand that boundaries unbacked by action are just noise. They are hollow pronouncements that hold no power in the energetic realm. True boundaries are not spoken, they are embodied. They are the unwavering frequency of self-respect that declares, "This far and no further." This brings us to the fifth truth, a lesson in self-preservation. Every apology you make for being hurt is a lesson in self-erasure. How many times have you uttered those soul-crushing words? "Sorry, I'm just tired. Sorry, I'm overreacting. Sorry for being so sensitive." Jung would look deep into your eyes and ask, "Why do you keep apologizing for your pain? What part of you was trained to believe that your feeling is a burden?" Each apology is another layer of concrete poured over your authentic self, another nail in the coffin of your intuition. Stop apologizing for the wisdom of your wounds. They are your teachers, not your shame. And this is why the sixth truth is so crucial. Trauma teaches you to see love in the same shape as your survival. If in your formative years, love was intertwined with pleasing, with adapting, with shrinking, then that is the only form of love your subconscious will recognize. You will unconsciously seek out partners and friends who require you to perform these same survival mechanisms. You will be drawn to the familiar ache of being needed, but not seen, of being valued for your function, but not for your essence. But this is not love. It is a replaying of a painful past, a familiar pain disguised as connection. True healing is the process of breaking this cycle, of learning to recognize love, not as a desperate act of survival, but as a peaceful state of being. Which leads us directly to the seventh truth. If someone's love requires you to betray yourself, it's not love, it's a transaction. It is a deal in disguise, one where you lose a piece of your soul with every interaction. Every time you say yes to what breaks you just to keep the peace, you are participating in a contract of self-annihilation, and that peace you think you're keeping, it is not real. It is the eerie quiet of a battlefield after you have surrendered unconditionally. It is the silence of a soul that has given up the fight for its own existence. True love, divine love, never asks you to be less than who you are. It invites you to become more. This is why the eighth truth is so poignant. The mask you wear to be loved becomes a cage. Your easygoing persona, your always available reputation, the smile you plaster on your face when you really want to cry. These are not just social graces. They are the bars of a gilded cage you have built around your own heart. It works for a time. It keeps you safe. It earns you acceptance. But it works only until you forget who you are. Underneath it all, the longer you wear the mask, the more it fuses with your skin, until you can no longer distinguish between the performance and the perform. The ultimate act of liberation is to let the mask fall, to stand in your naked, unapologetic truth, even if it means standing alone. And you must embrace the ninth truth. Emotional labor without reciprocity is exploitation. You comfort them, you explain everything, you hold space for their chaos, you absorb their damage, and they call it love. But stop and ask yourself, truly ask, what do you get in return? Because love that only flows one way is not devotion. It is depletion. It is a spiritual hemorrhage that will leave you anemic and weak. You are not a rehabilitation center for broken souls. You are a sacred temple, and those who enter must come with offerings of respect, reciprocity, and reverence. The 10th truth is a powerful tool for discernment. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow twice. The first time can be a mistake, a misunderstanding, a moment of unconsciousness, but if they do it again, and again, and again, that is no longer on. That is your silence, giving them permission. Your inaction becomes a co-signature on the contract of your own mistreatment. You must become the fierce gatekeeper of your own energy, and the second offense must be met with a swift and decisive closing of the door. This is why the 11th truth is a cornerstone of sovereignty. Not everyone who understands you deserves access to you. This is a difficult but vital lesson. Even toxic people can get you. They can understand your past. They can mirror your feelings. They can speak the language of your wound. They can see your light and your pain with piercing accuracy. But insight without integrity is manipulation in disguise. Just because someone sees your soul does not mean they should be allowed to hold it. Discernment is your sacred shield. You must learn to distinguish between those who see you and those who seek to use what they see against you. And so we arrive at the 12th truth, a balm for the sensitive soul. You're not too sensitive. You're just finally listening to your nervous system. That sick feeling in your stomach, that sudden energy drop after a phone call, that overwhelming urge to withdraw and be alone. That's not anxiety. That is truth, whispering through your body. It is your divine intelligence, your soul's GPS, telling you that you are moving in the wrong direction, that you are in the presence of an energetic mismatch. Your body is a holy instrument, and its sensations are the language of your higher self. Learn to trust its wisdom above all else. This leads to the 13th truth. Loyalty to dysfunction is not virtue. It's conditioning. You stay, you forgive, you justify, and you call it loyalty. But Jung would ask you to look deeper. Are you truly loyal, or are you just afraid? Afraid of loss, afraid of change, afraid of being alone. You have been conditioned to believe that enduring pain is a noble sacrifice. But staying in pain doesn't make you loyal, it makes you lost. It is a betrayal of the sacred contract you made with your own soul to protect and honor itself. The 14th truth is a powerful revelation. If someone only loves you when you're easy to love, it's not love, it's consumption. The moment you get sick, say no, or disagree. Watch them, see how they pull away. That is not rejection, that is a revelation. It is the universe showing you with undeniable clarity that they were never there for you. They were there for your silence, for your compliance, for the version of you that made them feel comfortable. And the 15th truth, a hard-won piece of wisdom. Over-explaining is a trauma response disguised as logic. When you feel the overwhelming need to justify, defend, or clarify what should be obvious, it is not about them. It is about your own learned fear that clarity will make you unlovable. It is the echo of a time when your truth was not enough,
when you had to build a fortress of reasons to protect your right to feel. True healing is knowing that your no is a complete sentence. Healing will make you unrecognizable to people who only knew you broke. They will say you've changed. And they're right, but what they really mean is, you are no longer easy to exploit. This is the 16th truth, and with it comes the 17th. If your love isn't allowed to evolve, it will Relationships do not die from disagreement. They die when one person starts growing and the other refuses to adapt. Love that stays stagnant is love that quietly rots from the inside out. And the 18th truth is a mirror for their own shadows. People fear your boundaries when they benefited from your lack of them. They will call you cold, guarded, and harsh, but that is pure projection. What they are really saying is, your self-respect now limits my control. This is why, as the 19th truth reveals, when you stop over-explaining, manipulators lose their grip. They thrive on the confusion and the endless dialogues that drain you. But once your truth becomes non-negotiable, they fall silent, because clarity is no longer a conversation, it is a wall. The 20th truth is a gift. Empathy is only a gift when it's protected by discernment. You have been giving too much to people who see your compassion as currency. You feel their pain more than your own. But love without discernment is a contract for self-erasure. And you must understand the 21st truth. The desire to be understood can make you tolerate the intolerable. You keep trying to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you, but the problem isn't your clarity, it's their comfort. This is why the 22nd truth is so liberating. When someone crosses your boundary and then gets offended, you've exposed their entitlement. Healthy people adjust when you express a need. Unhealthy ones retaliate, not because your boundary is wrong, but because they were never planning to honor it. You must internalize the 23rd truth. You are not responsible for the emotional reactions of people you've outgrown. Guilt will whisper, be softer, be nicer, but growth isn't cruelty, it's clarity. And if your evolution wounds them, it was never your job to shrink to their limits. And so, the 24th truth, people don't leave when you become toxic, they leave when you become self-respecting. Watch closely. The moment you start standing up for yourself, people will vanish, not because you are wrong, but because you are no longer easy. The 25th truth follows. Your triggers are not flaws, they are messengers. When someone says you are too reactive, Jung would ask, what memory just got touched? Your emotion isn't a defect, it's information. It is your soul's history speaking to you. The 26th truth is about projection. It is when someone accuses you of being the very thing they are afraid to face in themselves. They say you're manipulative when you set a boundary. They say you're selfish when you ask for space. But often what they see in you is what they refuse to meet within. And this is why the 27th truth is so important. Some people are addicted to your dysfunction because it validates their own. You are easy to be around when you're anxious, when you doubt yourself, when you overgive. But the moment you heal, they feel exposed, because your clarity makes their chaos harder to ignore. The 28th truth is about control. When someone withdraws love as punishment, it was never love, it was leverage. You felt it, the cold shoulder after you said no, the silence when you stood your ground. That wasn't love retreating, that was control collapsing. And you must know the 29th truth. You don't have to explain your boundary, you just have to enforce it. They will ask why, push for reasons, try to debate, but this is not a courtroom. Your boundary isn't a discussion, it's a door, locked and final. The 30th truth is a declaration of freedom. You don't owe anyone continued access to a version of you they feel entitled to. You've grown, you've changed, you don't laugh at the same jokes, you don't chase like you used to. That is not rudeness, that is revolution. And the 31st truth is a paradox of peace. Your peace will trigger those who rely on your chaos. The calmer you become, the louder they get. They cannot find you in the patterns anymore. Your silence, once mistaken for submission, has become your shield, and they hate it. The 32nd truth is a harsh reality. If you have to beg someone to understand you, they are committed to misunderstanding you. Clarity does not require a performance. You should never have to audition for love. The 33rd truth is a warning. Some people do not want resolution, they want control. They will provoke, delay, and distract, not to fix things, but to stay in. Jung knew that when someone fears their own unconscious, they will try to control yours instead, and the most dangerous gaslighting, the 34th truth, is when you do it to yourself. You say, maybe I am too sensitive, maybe I am asking for too much, but ask yourself, where did that voice come from? Who taught you that your pain is normal? The 35th truth is a reminder of self-betrayal. Self-abandonment wears many disguises: loyalty, sacrifice, spirituality. But if you have to disappear to stay connected, that is not devotion. It is a spiritual wound disguised as virtue. And the 36th truth is your mantra of strength. You are not difficult. You are just not willing to self-destruct quietly anymore. Let them call you what they want. Labels do not stick to people who know their truth. And that truth, the 37th, is that people who never had boundaries will always see yours as cruelty, and that is okay. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. You were not born to carry their emotional literacy. The 38th truth is a manipulator's handbook. They confuse empathy with access. They think if you understand them, you owe them, but understanding someone does not mean you have to tolerate them. And this, the 39th truth, is the essence of sacred love. You can love someone deeply and still choose yourself completely. This is not selfish. It is sacred. Love does not mean losing yourself. It means becoming so full that you overflow, not dip. The 40th truth is the ultimate test of a connection. If your absence disturbs them more than your pain ever did, that was not love. It was dependency. They did not miss you. They missed the version of you that didn't ask for anything. The 41st truth is a consequence of your healing. The more healed you become, the more boring you are to people addicted to drama. They will say you are distant, that you've changed, that you don't engage, and that is right, because chaos no longer feels like home anymore. The 42nd truth is about performance. If their version of love requires your exhaustion, it is not love. It is performance. You are not meant to audition for care. You are meant to be met where you live. This is because, as the 43rd truth reveals, some people bond through wounds, not values. And when you start healing, the bond breaks. They did not love you. They loved your pain. And when you stop bleeding, they leave. And now, the final 44th truth. The ultimate form of self-respect is walking away, quietly, fully, without needing them to understand why. You do not need closure. You do not need a final word. You do not need to be right. You just need to be done. Let me show you what that looks. You wake up one morning, and you do not feel the urge to check your phone, not to see if they replied, not to reread the messages, not to rehearse what you will say next time, because something inside you has finally closed, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. You realize the apology never came, the respect was never real, and the love was always conditional. And instead of spiraling, you just breathe. You get up, make tea and stand in the light. You do not need revenge, or validation, or explanation. You just feel whole. That is the silent miracle Jung spoke of. The moment your identity is no longer dependent on how others treat you, because you have faced the mirror, and you did not flinch. Let me ask you this, as we close this sacred space. What is the cost of staying small, of being nice instead of honest, of making sure they are comfortable, while your soul is suffocating? You have been trained to fear the consequences of truth. But what about the consequences of silence? Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But that privilege is earned through grief, through shedding, through disappointing every person who only loved your camouflage. You are here now. You have remembered the truth. You have seen the patterns. You have stopped calling pain loyalty. And now, something new begins. You become magnetic, not to everyone, but to those who recognize truth, who have done their own shadow work, who do not fear your depth, who honor your no as much as your yes. Your life becomes lighter, not because there is less weight, but because you have stopped carrying what was not yours. Your days become quieter, not because you are alone, but because chaos does not knock anymore. And your soul becomes louder, not in words, but in presence, because this is what it means to know all 44 truths. You are no longer available for self-erasure. You no longer mistake survival for connection. You no longer confuse potential with partnership. and you never again bleed for validation. You live, you breathe, you rest, and in your rest, you rise.